Okay, so earlier in the day, I recorded a kitchen tour just so that you could see more up close what is on the counters. But I spent 2 hours this evening actually organizing what's in the cabinets and the drawers, and I would like to show you. So I think it just makes sense after you move in. The number one hardest thing is just get everything put away. Once it's put away, you kind of want to live with it for 3 months to see how you're using the space. So we've been here for almost 3 months, and I had an idea. Things that I had originally laid out were illogical, and tonight I was like, I'm gonna bite the bullet and I'm gonna figure out this puzzle. So, challenges that we have faced. The open shelving, I feel like that was a challenge that I mastered day one, because I was just like, we need to put things on these shelves, at least the first shelf, the lowest shelf that's easiest to get to, that are not going to become dusty easily, and that will be moved in and out so frequently that that's going to be a non-issue. So the most used things really in the kitchen are the bowls, the mugs. Okay, so we're good there. So another challenge is that really the only cabinet that is eye level is this guy. And so for a long time, we were just putting all of our extra mugs and our water bottles and our blender bottles and glassware in there, but it was getting so easily cluttered, and it was also just like, okay, you know, we have other stuff that might be good to reach, such as our plates, where for a time I was putting the smaller plates in here, and then I was stacking the larger plates in here, and it was just kind of like weird. So I'll start over here in the corner. What I did is I put the small and the large plates stacked here, and then large glassware and small glassware, and then up at the top we do have our blender bottles and extra mugs, and then these are really like to-go coffee Yetis that keep the coffee warm. So this makes the most sense. These are highly used items, and the plates are all together now. They're all stacked. I'm not worried about the weight ruining one of our drawers over time, so I feel really good about this. Okay, in here I just decided to put the measuring cups, the measuring spoons, these small glass bowls that I use for like mixing small things, the lemon press. So it's just a really small drawer, not too many things fit in here, so it worked out perfectly. And then down here, this is the to-go cabinet. So as you can see, we've got our Pyrex containers. In the back there, we have some Ziploc bags. I also have the aluminum foil, parchment paper, stuff like that. We really aren't cooking a whole lot, so we don't have to grab that stuff very frequently. It makes the most sense to put it back there and make this a to-go cabinet. And then up here we have our water bottles. So, you know, we usually only use one water bottle per week. You know, I keep it with me at all times, or I've got it in the car. So since these are rarely grabbed, it's like, why don't we put them here? Okay, now, under the sink has not changed, but I'll just show you what we've got going on under here. This is trash, so that's not usually there. Usually it's just this. Pro tip, if you have a cabinet under your sink that you want to put your trash, but every trash can is a little bit too tall or too big, get one of these Home Depot buckets. They work really well. And they're wide, they're super wide. So honestly, we've never had a problem, although there are only 2 of us. So something to keep in mind, that will probably not work for a family. Over here to the left, I've got our Finish pods for the dishwasher. I really want them to be super easy to get to, but I didn't want to just open up the Finish box and, you know, if my hands are wet from like doing dishes and then I want to do a load, I don't want to ruin the paper box, and so, or cardboard box. And so I was like, well, let me just grab a container that I actually used to house an orchid, and I will put the loose pods there so that they're easy to grab and they don't ruin the container that they're in. it's really simple under here. It's so easy for your sink to get crazy underneath and dirty, and we're just so not about that. So basically we just have our trash bags, additional hand and dish soap, refills. We've got a fire extinguisher that probably should be a little bit more accessible, but there you go. Some Raid and some Brita filters and Brillo pads and SOS scrubbers. Okay, so then over here, again, we really don't cook very often. And so our spices were taking up a ton of real estate in the pantry. And I was like, you know, why don't we just put them in a drawer? I've seen this done many times. It's not, you know, these don't perfectly stay in place, but honestly, they don't need to. It's organized. We know what's in here. It's clean. That's what matters. The knives, okay, so we have Wusthof knives and they came with a block, but these are the only knives that we have to fill the block. So obviously the block takes up a lot of real estate as well. Right now I'm keeping it on the counter, but what I want to do is get a magnetic strip that goes in the fridge. Obviously something to consider is when we have kids, is that the safest thing? I don't know. I'm gonna have to deal with it when the time comes, but even if we kept it really over here, it's pretty high up and that gives us a couple years when the kids are little. Anyway, under here, believe it or not, I actually organize things so well that we have some additional real estate. One of the things that I have to remind myself of, and I don't remember where I learned this, I know it was not Marie Kondo, it was someone else, but basically just because you have the space doesn't mean you have to fill it. So that can be freeing for anybody who's just like, okay, this seems a little bit odd. Am I missing something in my kitchen because I have a free cabinet? Well, no, in this case, it makes sense. I'm gonna leave it there. Things down the line, as our family grows, it will be nice to have that additional space to grow into. And for example, the cabinets above our fridge, I don't have anything in there either. We have other storage within the house that works. We've got like a fine silverware heirloom set that I'm keeping elsewhere. And so that space is free. Okay. Before we get to the pantry, let me actually turn around and we are gonna go through these cabinets. Okay, so Keurig's right here, so it really makes the most sense to have a coffee drawer. Joe likes to do a French press every single morning, and I just do the K-cups because I'm easy and I'm pretty exhausted and lazy in the morning and I just don't care. So this is our coffee drawer. And then below, in the back are actually some napkins. For the most part, we don't really use napkins. I guess we use paper towels, but I also don't keep a paper towel dispenser. On the counter, the paper towels are over here right now because I was cleaning, but normally I keep them under the sink and we'll just grab them when we need them. But anyway, those are extra napkins in case we need them. And then we've got the coffee maker for when we actually have guests and we want to make a large pot of coffee, the NutriBullet, and some coffee filters back there. Obviously that's not a lot of space, so you can store coffee filters, and then I have additional K-cups back there. Okay, in this cabinet, whoa, I just fell, pots and pans. So I've got the crock pot back there. I kind of go seasonal with the crock pot. Sometimes I will use it all the time, and so it doesn't make sense to have it that far back. It actually sometimes makes more sense to have it on the counter, but you know, I haven't done many crock pot meals in a while because I've just been eating very, very simple meals, sort of like keto, but not quite. So pots, pans, strainers, our toaster we keep down there, and the cutting boards. We do have more frying pans than that. They're just in the dishwasher. Okay, then this is, oh my gosh, this drawer used to be packed with stuff. And again, this is another example of we haven't filled the space, and that's okay. So we've got some skewers, we have some bamboo bowls for snacks. We've got our towels and oven mitts, and we've got space. Okay, obviously over here I've got, oh, that's so annoying. Okay, so these, as pretty as they are, when we wash them, there is always leftover water, and then it mixes with what's inside of the pans, and then it rusts, and this is the rust dripping out, so gotta deal with that. All right, this I haven't touched at all, but this is our silverware drawer. And for the most part, it makes sense. It gets a little bit messy, like over here, it's starting to clutter, but you get the idea. Silverware and bottle openers, can openers, ice cream scoop, strain. We've got, why can't I talk? We've got chopsticks, we've got birthday candles, a little bit of a one-stop shop here, and then whisks, silicone, what the heck do you call those? You can tell that I don't do this very often, but anyway, you get the idea. And then utensils for the stove and for salad and stuff just go in here. I showed you that before. Okay, so now let's just finish it up with the pantry. So this has just been a journey. Up here, this is a very light basket. It's full of tea. I wanted to have, you know, whatever's up there. First of all, pretty much only Joe drinks tea. I don't really drink tea. And so his tea is up there. He mostly drinks coffee, but when he drinks tea, he can just grab it and bring it down. It's lightweight, so there's no concern about something being heavy and falling. And then for now, I just put the instant coffee right there. That's really in case of an emergency. Like, you know, if we've gone camping or on a mission trip, I grab instant coffee, or if we just happen to run out of every ounce of coffee in the house, you've got it right there. So it's really just an emergency stash, clearly visible. Okay, everything in here is not going to live like that. Tomorrow, I'm expecting an Amazon package of OXO airtight containers. I'm very excited. So all of these items are going to be taken out of their packaging and put into airtight containers. And then I'm also expecting various kinds of nuts to come in. I bought a bunch of nuts in bulk. I have just been eating nuts like crazy. For the most part, I eat a lot of pecans. And nuts just get so expensive, so it doesn't make sense to get them at the grocery store if you can buy them online in bulk. So I eat a ton of pecans. These are pepitas, and in theory, these are good when, okay, so in my opinion, I like them when I first bite into them, but then when I swallow, there's some kind of aftertaste that I am not crazy about, and I don't really know what that is. Almonds. But normally I have walnuts, cashews, and shelled pistachios, and some other types of nuts, but basically I'm getting crazy with nuts. So you get the idea. These are all coming out of their packaging and going into airtight containers, and then I'm gonna label them, and it's just gonna be a really fun time. Okay, so here is the rest of the pantry. And let's take it one step at a time. So this wire basket is going to be for snacks. Joe just got this granola. It's a little bit too sugary for me, but if he likes it, great. I thought about putting it in air-sealed containers, but because it's the first time he's bought these kinds, I just don't know that he's gonna like them, so we'll see. And then I've got some cheddar bunnies. But this is just going to be for snacks. So you can pull it out really easily. In the back there, I've got like pastas and grains and couscous, and really I don't make that stuff anymore. I used to live off of pasta, and then when I started eating differently, it's too many carbs, so I really don't. The butter we leave in here, and this is because the cats will lick the outside. They get crazy over the butter. And then I've just got flour, granulated sugar. Okay, this is our oil, vinegar, and syrup shelf. And then I also put the salt and pepper in here instead of in the spice drawer, because we grab these obviously all the time. So in the back, I've got some oils. We mostly do like olive oil, sesame seed oil, coconut oil, and then we've got the vinegars in the back as well. We have apple cider vinegar up here, some supplements, just back stock of supplements in the back. We have syrup, maple syrup, and then honey. And then, like I said, I've got peanut butter. We've got Justin's almond butter, and then this is like my favorite kind of almond butter, the Maranatha, but it's very expensive. This is like $12, so I try to go easy. And then MCT oil. Okay, below here, these are the canned items for the most part, and then also in the back there are more like types of things that you would use in Asian cooking. So Joe sometimes cooks with it a lot, but not, I guess he goes in seasons with that, so I try to keep it towards the back. And then he's been on a sardines kick, which is really disgusting in my mind, but this is like back stock barbecue sauce and things like that. And then we have for the most part, I mean, the only canned items that we do are like these garbanzo beans and the kidney beans. So I just used one of those soda can dispensers, and it works pretty well for that stuff. And then this is just like seasoning stuff, really for like tacos and whatever. So I just put it in its own little container because it's very specific stuff and not everything fit in the spice drawer. Okay, I think I've pretty well covered it all. So I hope this video was somewhat enjoyable, and I will record at a later date.